Warning: the following file contains a visual mimetic cognito hazard. If you are not authorized to view this file, close it immediately and contact your department chief. Welcome, Agent, to Site. It is very likely that until this moment you have not heard of Site, and that is by design. If you are viewing this introductory video, it is because you are now assigned to this site, and as such, are expected to maintain the veil of secrecy surrounding it. You, like the rest of Foundation operatives assigned to site, will be issued living quarters on site, and should have already been provided with documentation on the rules and regulations regarding the site. If you have not yet received your documentation, contact Human Resources immediately. In the coming days, you will meet with your department director, along with personnel directors, and will have a session scheduled with the on-site counselor to assess readiness and ability. For field agents, after each mission, you will meet with counselor for an updated profile and session to assess continued ability. For containment specialists, this meeting will be scheduled once each month after any direct contact or communication with any anomalous presence on site, or after any security breach. You may notice security at some is significantly heightened in relation to other sites. And hi, y'all, we're live. Super exciting. Thanks everyone for being here. We're super excited to be able to do this. We're going to get to it in just a moment. But first, a couple things I want to go over. First, thank you all for being here. Thank you to my amazing cast, who I will be thanking again at the end of the night, I'm sure. Thank you to everyone who's shown up in chat. We're really, really excited. Couple reminders. We'll be back tomorrow with an episode of Dice Transaction at 8:30. We'll be here on Thursday with an episode of Rega, Shadow of the Dragon, at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all Eastern. Everything is Eastern. As you can tell, it's been a little while. I'm getting kind of rusty, but we're here. Second, as a quick heads up, we are playing an SCP game. There is going to be some horror elements. Content warnings include things like, for now at least, atmospheric horror, potential religious iconography, possible death and or mutilation. We're going to do our best to keep the likely triggers as something that I go over at the beginning of every episode. There may be times where we miss something. If at any time you feel uncomfortable in any way, feel free to step away. Don't hesitate. Your self-care comes first. That is something I've gone over with the players. That's something I want to go over with everyone in chat. Never feel like you have to stay here if you're not comfortable. We love you, and that's really important. With that, I'm going to take a moment to introduce all of these amazing people, or let them introduce themselves, because I'm already here. You know I exist, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start on this side. So if I haven't been flipped, that's going to be JD. Why don't we start with you?
Oh, dear God. Okay. I'm... was not mentally prepared for that. I'm JD. I'm really excited to be here tonight for SCP. I've been excited about this game since Lion pitched it a while back, and I am usually found over with Live from the Apocalypse. I'm technically cheating on them with Tales from the Table tonight, but I think they forgive me because they're in the chat. So yeah, that is me.
All right, let's move on to Jack. We're just going to go in a little like you.
Hello. I, as well, am super excited to be here for a new SCP show. I have been excited for this for quite a long time. You may know me from my own channel, in which, I don't know where to point. Where's the overlay? In which this lovely person, there's a delay. I don't Lion and Zoe have been on my channel before, and I know they are wonderful people. And I've had the pleasure of doing a session 0 with these other folks, and I am so excited to see what we get up to. But you might know me from my own channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, where I focus on RPGs Uncovered, a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. We've been dark for a little bit as I get things set up for the new season, but I have season 4 coming soon. Asterisks because of all the holidays coming up, but we will be focusing on a game called Cyber Rats, which is basically it's very XCOM / Shadowrun inspired, except you're playing as a bunch of super mutant rats, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So come hang out with me on Twitter at PPLS Ascension or on my Discord for more information on that. That will most likely be running on Sundays. As for current projects, tomorrow and every Tuesday going forward, again, asterisks, I will be over on twitch.tv/Studio Tembo with our continuing adventures in Star Trek Europa, in which I play Captain Irani Ambrose and Transport Specialist Tong and all kinds of other cool people. Really great show that I won't go too far into now because we have to get on to everybody else and some SCP.
All right. Tal, why don't you take it from there?
It's me. Hi, I'm Tal Woodblaze. I am a writer and creator of TTRPGs. I'm the British contingent on this, so it's like ridiculous o'clock in the morning, but I'm awake, ready, and raring to go. You can, well, for the moment, you can mainly find me on Twitter. The Gamers Rest. We'll see how long that goes for. But yeah, so this is my first proper actual play live streaming series, so really nervous but really excited at the same time.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment a little bit. Well, we've got this.
Fine.
Next up, the Eye.
Hello, I am the Eye. You find me here on this channel and nowhere else because I deem it so. So that's where we're going to leave it.
We got a quick hydrate, so we're going to start off nice and hydrated.
It's already
Cheers.
a
Yep.
Fantastic.
I'm rooting for that exciting emotional damage button.
It's a good one. All right, Zoe, why don't you take us home?
Hello, everyone. I'm Zoe Trooper. I've been here on Tales from the Table Studios. I've been on The People's Ascension. Currently, I'm working with, here, obviously, doing this SCP game. Super excited for that. I also work with Hollowed Haven Studios. I'm in a Hunter of the Reckoning game called Wayfarer, which it's about to reach its conclusion for this season, which, a lot of spicy stuff going on there. We're basically fighting Reapers and Wraiths, so good luck to us as we try to deal with that as mere humans. I also work alongside Component Cast. Nothing yet to speak of, but we are doing a Cyberpunk Red game in the new year, so that's super exciting for us as well. That's it.
Awesome. Some more of my favorite people that you've mentioned besides the people here who are some of my favorite people. So that's really hype. All right. And I'm Lion. I am the overseer for this game because that sounds cooler than just saying GM. With
Much
that,
cooler.
it is, right? I like that term a lot. With that,
Much better.
time for us to get to our game for tonight. Everyone has had at least one strange experience in their life. Some are small, something disappearing and never being found, assumed lost, despite no real opportunity for it to have vanished. Some are large, stories of ghosts or of meeting people who just don't exist. Finding spaces within spaces or nightmares come to life. But people often dismiss these experiences as impossible, as a moment of confusion or distraction that we regulate after the fact. And sometimes they're right. But far more often than you might think, there's more behind these events than what you know, believe, or could understand. The world you see is only a small portion of what reality is, or beyond that, meta-reality. Things like gods, eldritch beings, magic, faith, and the unexplained. The rabbit hole goes so much deeper than one would think. But that isn't for you to worry over, you see. You are free to live in the light. And that is why we die in the dark. How long the Foundation has existed is a complicated question to answer, and perhaps an even more complicated question to ask. But they do. And perhaps we're all safer for it. The Foundation transcends governmental authority and works tirelessly to understand, secure, contain, and protect these things that don't fit into our perception of reality. The anomalous is their world, one where nothing can be taken for granted, and ignorance is sometimes not simply bliss, but a weapon. Some have made the choice to step into the darkness, putting themselves at risk for the sake of protecting or understanding. Some left with no choice after having anomalous experiences of their own. But no matter what it is that's gathered these people here, they're here now. Cogs of something much larger than themselves, certainly one fraught with danger, exhaustion, physical, mental, and emotional. Tonight, we begin our journey into the lives of some of these people who, by whatever means brought them here, find themselves beyond the veil. The job is not easy. The expectations are demanding. For some, all that really matters is the fulfillment that comes with keeping the world as is. For others, to garner an understanding otherwise impossible. And for some, to ensure the security of those around them. Tonight, we focus on Site 26. Site 26 acts as a nexus point between many sites scattered through the world and perhaps beyond. Within Site 26 resides SCP-7938, commonly referred to as the Open Door Policy. SCP-7938 allows for instantaneous travel between many sites, and as such, works as an in-between, allowing for transportation, secure movement of smaller objects, and rapid deployment of both mobile task forces and field teams. As we fade in tonight, our camera pans across a rocky desert, past the large exterior of the site, swooping down and in through the large sliding metal doors, beyond the first checkpoint and into the winding white corridors of Site 26, seeking out the first of our agents. With that, we turn our attention to Agent Hevard C. Hart. Where do we find Agent Hart today, Jeff?
Well, Hevard is very new here, very new at this facility, and probably spends quite a bit of time wandering from department to department, chatting with whoever he can strike up conversation with.
Why don't you take a moment and describe Agent Hart for us?
Yes. So, Agent Hart walks down these hallways fairly frequently for being somebody so new, somebody who is looking to have everybody know his name here. We see him walking down these corridors, past all of these doors, and Hevard is, first and foremost, always impeccably dressed. He takes great care in his appearance, both how he is dressed, how he is groomed, and how he acts. He has a very fine suit on, one that is obviously tailored specifically for him. He has a number of different ties available, though he usually sports a simple black and white sort of MIB look, if only to play the role. Hevard is in his mid-30s or so, a relatively tall gentleman, well-built. He's a pretty boy. He's a pretty boy. He has a square jaw, very solid face, piercing blue eyes. Unlike myself, he is clean-shaven and looks all the better for it. And he has short-cropped, if a little tousled, very blonde hair. Probably not naturally so, but you're not too terribly certain. And he walks with a confident stride and will meet whoever is nearby with a smile and perhaps a wink.
Ooh. And I like to think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that he's, although perhaps some trepidation over the new guys, he's probably well received at the site.
I would hope so.
And as we take all of what we've seen of Agent Hart in for the time being, the camera swings past, moving back down these winding hallways. We find ourselves with Agent Jackson Kennedy. Jackson, what are you doing now?
So Jackson is currently in the medical lab doing a stock take. It's not interesting, it's not exciting, but it is incredibly important. It's been a long day. He's still dirty from having performed a number of surgeries and minor operations in order to keep the teams operative and making sure no one has any lasting permanent injuries.
Seems reasonable. And what does Jackson look like?
So Jackson's he's the kind of person you wouldn't look twice at. He's about 5'11", short brown hair, short brown beard, always wearing baggy clothes. It's difficult to kind of ascertain his physique. And if you were to age him, early 30s up to maybe pushing mid 40s, difficult to kind of place. Very, very much would just blend into any crowd. And he kind of likes it like that. He kind of likes it that, you know, people don't really recognize him, but he works hard. He knows what his duties are here, and he's happy to, you know, even carry out some of the more menial work to ensure everything is done to his standards.
Excellent. And again, we pan back through those hallways. And next, I think our focus is going to shift to, correct me if I'm wrong on this, First Lieutenant Liam MacCern.
Right. So Liam is probably moving through the hallways ever so slowly, just kind of eyeing fellow security members as he meanders through the hallways. You see a older gentleman. Sometimes he's masked, sometimes he's not, depending on if he's on duty or not. But having red and gray hair, and usually chewing on a cigar, standing at about 6'1", kind of built, but mostly a spry for especially someone his age. Furthermore, when his mask is off, there are fine scars running along his face. This is definitely a man who's seen his fair share of battles.
Excellent. And I think we follow Liam just for a beat or two. He, I assume, very, very rigidly statured as he makes his way down the hall.
Oh, always standing up with, like, it's almost as if he's wearing some sort of bodice to keep his back straight.
And after a moment, as Liam turns a corner, I think the camera swings the opposite way, bringing us from one portion of the facility over towards the medical science and research portion. And I think our camera is going to find Dr. Zura Von Brandt.
So Zura is actually on her break for the moment. There's no one else in the break room, but we're still in the sciences division, just kind of chilling out. But her eating is slow and methodical, and her eyes seem fixed on the doorway as though trying to comprehend something, but with like that tinge of terror in it. Normally she's quite a studious individual that while she didn't appreciate her work, did it without flaw. Lately, something has been distracting her, and after a little bit of help from some compatriots in Site 26, she seems to be back on her feet again, and work has been progressing, but though little distracted. She has glasses, has hair in a kind of like fun up-high ponytail, is typically very clean, somewhat attractive, like just good-looking girl, but not like blow your mind good looking. Normally quite skeptical in nature, but lately she's been made to be kind of a believer in what we do here.
Wonderful. And I think we just sort of linger on her for a moment or two. Something seems to sort of, if it's all right with you, catch your attention a bit just off camera. And that's about when we cut away, continuing down the hallways to find Dr. Zachary Ryan.
And I think we find Dr. Zachary Ryan where he is every moment he's allowed to be, which is analyzing and gathering data on whichever SCP he has been allowed to be in relative proximity to that day. And so I think we find him very like animatedly dictating notes into a recorder on what he's seeing. And it's very basic things. It's like moved 6 centimeters today instead of 5. And he seems absolutely delighted by this. Like this is the best thing he has ever seen. In appearance, Zach is about 25 years old. He looks pretty young, but similarly to Jackson, he looks very average, the kind of person you wouldn't look twice at. He's got close-cropped black hair, and he wears wire-rimmed glasses that cover his blue eyes. He's about 5'10". He definitely has the build of someone who spends most of their time in a lab, and is not, out in the field as much, but he dresses in a way where he is always prepared for the potential of field work. So certainly with proper PPE when he's in a place that requires it. But other than that, he is in jeans, t-shirt, flannel, hiking boots, so that if he does need to be outside, he can move around in the least restrictive and safest way possible.
Love it. And I think a few moments go by, each of you sort of continuing with what you've been up to, and then one by one, as we cut to sort of a split screen of everyone, each of your phones ring. When you pick up, you are met immediately with the very familiar voice of Stephanie Cunningham, who is the personal assistant of Personnel Director Sadie Eden. It is explained to each of you that you are required your presence is required in Personnel Director Eden's office over by Human Resources. Specifics are very few and far between, but that's not anything surprising. You've all been here at least long enough to know exactly how the Foundation works, and that they much prefer for you to learn while doing than anything else. Information is at a premium here.
Liam will go out and back to his locker, grab some of his gear, just in case this is something he needs to be a little bit more ready for. One of the things that really makes him stand out from the rest of the people here is on his chest is a very, very stark image of the GOC, which kind of marks him as an outsider in a lot of spaces around these parts. He puts on his gear full black with the GOC tag, but also underneath it is a name tag that just says horns on it.
And for our audience who may not be aware of what the GOC is, would you mind telling us a bit about them?
The GOC are the correct ones. So basically, you have the SCP, a bunch of namby-pamby little folk who go around doing things incorrectly for the rest of their lives. The GOC are the counterweight of that is the organization run by the United Nations as a more overseen by the world governments of the paranormal.
Excellent. And so, as the group of you converge on the familiar blue sort of short rug and relatively empty space of the Human Resources Department, surprisingly, the Foundation is not particularly interested in much there. Go figure. You are greeted by Director Eden's personal assistant, who then motions for the door, sending the group of you in. Who would like to arrive first, or would you all like to sort of arrive together?
I think Hev would arrive first.
Oh, sure.
Hev's going to stroll in. He has 2 cups of coffee. He's going to stroll right into the office. Sadie, always a pleasure. Coffee? I got an extra.
So Director Eden, with her sort of almost Liam reminiscent rigidity, sort of looks you up and down with her dark stare and goes, "No, I think I'll pass. Thank you for thinking of me."
And that's when Liam's hand comes out, grabs the coffee cup.
Well, somebody will enjoy it. Lieutenant, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing quite well. How are you there, Hart?
I am always in a good mood around here. Always something exciting when we're called in this office.
Liam will pull out the cigar from his mouth, take a sip of the coffee, and go, "Oh, you didn't put any butter in this."
Butter and coffee.
Oh. Gets the blood nice and thick.
I'll have to try that sometime.
Coming in through the doorway is Zura, and she goes, "It's a thing. The idea is that the fat from the butter binds with the caffeine and helps you to faster and more efficiently absorb it. Hello, cream works the same, but
Always fun facts.
to each their own."
And I feel like Zach comes in kind of on Zura's heels and hears her say that, and is just like, "That's fascinating. I had never heard of that before. I wonder how that works. I should run some numbers."
Worth an actual study, I think. Honestly, I kind of find it repulsive.
It does sound rather disgusting.
And
But
then
If it ain't got fat in it, you ain't gonna survive long.
Tal, you wanted to chime in?
yeah. So I was going to say then Jackson arrives last and just walks in. Can we make this quick? I've got patients that I need to check on. What do you want?
It's always nice to see you too, Captain Kennedy.
Don't call me captain. It's not captain anymore. You know that. Oh, I thought I could smell that horrendous stuff you smoke. Jeez, Liam. Do you think we'll give it a rest in here?
No. It's not wet.
Still
Well.
stinks.
Thank God for small favors. Don't worry, your patients have already been reassigned. You, all of you, have something far more important that you will be handling. Thank you all for showing up so promptly and for making the wise choice not to include butter in your coffee. After some careful deliberation, the group of you have been determined to potentially, she says as she kind of like keeps an eye out at Liam. Potentially been I could go about this in a nicer way, but let's be honest. We all know exactly what it is that has brought everyone here to this site, and so we're going to cut through the bullshit and just lay it out. Something's going on, and the five of you are, quite frankly, the simplest potential solution to it. So congratulations, you're all going to be on field duty.
Cool.
Have my superiors been told about this?
All of the paperwork has been filed. You have nothing to worry about, First Lieutenant.
Very well.
I'm going to pause this for one moment. Zoe, do you need us to hold off for a minute?
No, I was signing stop to my passenger. I'm so sorry.
I apologize. It's going to take a little getting used to on my part. Sorry. Okay. So ultimately, I think that none of you will find yourselves too disappointed with what you're being sent to deal with, including you, Captain Kennedy. You will be being sent in to New York, to Manhattan. Not Midtown. I thought it was Midtown. It's not Midtown. You will be sent into Manhattan to investigate a disappearance. The police have been dealing with it for some time now, and there have been a number of bits of information that have come to our attention that have made it necessary to send in a group to take over. You'll be sent in as FBI agents with full credentials, though I will suggest you take the time to be careful not to bring any intense scrutiny to yourselves. This is a bit of a rush job, and so there's only so much that can be done. A woman by the name of Charlotte Williams has disappeared under mysterious circumstances out of a interesting apartment building in Kips Bay. There are a number of unique, for lack of a better term, unique objects and circumstances surrounding this, though all of the information will be provided to you in the folios and she points to a series of folders set across her desk. Her apartment has already been searched, but as per instructions passed down from us, nothing has been moved, touched, or cataloged. That will be part of your job, just in case. Investigate the disappearance, investigate the objects, report back with anything anomalous, and take steps to ascertain the cause, contain if possible, or report back with necessary containment procedures if, in fact, there is anything anomalous going on. if this is somehow a misunderstanding, clean it up as best you can, get out of there, and we'll move on. Questions, comments, concerns?
New York, people go missing all the time in New York.
People do go missing all of the time in New York, but as I said, there are more important pieces of information that you will find in the breakdown that I'm sure will make things more clear. However, my time is unsurprisingly more valuable than yours, and as such, I'm sorry, did I say something funny?
Oh, no, of course. We'd hate to take up your time.
I was going to lean forward and pick up one of these folders and start flipping through it. So a missing persons case, as the lieutenant said, people go missing in New York all the time. I'll read through this, but I can understand myself, obviously. The lieutenant, if things go bad. Kennedy here, if things go really bad, but no offense to either of you, the two researchers in the field.
There is reason for us to believe that whatever is going on there might not be something that can be solved with pretty words and strong muscle.
Well, then it would be a good thing to have you two along.
I can't wait.
Yes, and you notice like Zura is kind of looking around something at this point and just like, yeah, yes, I'm excited to get out of here for a little bit. So I am eagerly accepting this assignment.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I left the site. It's been a while.
Well,
Is there already a cover story for why we're there?
luckily, the police have called in the FBI, so you shouldn't need too much more explanation than that.
Well, let's not take up too much more of the director's time here. I'm sure we can figure it out ourselves.
That is part of why you were all chosen. Intelligent, capable. And then she sort of looks over meaningfully at Jackson and goes, hopeful.
Well, we appreciate you putting your trust in us with this incredibly challenging task. And he grabs one of the folders and just walks out.
The lieutenant will follow.
Thank you for your time, Director.
Yes. Thank you, and thanks for letting us go out in the field. I've been waiting for this.
We'll see if you're still quite so thankful for it when you get.
I'm sure.
Bring me some tea next time, Sadie.
As they're leaving, the lieutenant will put his hand on Jackson's shoulder, kind of leaning a little bit. You know, Kennedy, this is why I keep telling you having cities in charge of all this shit. Not the greatest thing in the world.
This is... I don't care what she says. Sending out 2 researchers with a limited protection detail. Well, me and you?
So
this is not good.
This is what you get for having cities in charge. Listen, Kennedy. If you want, I can definitely try to keep these 2 researchers a little bit more under control. You just keep your eye out for Hart.
Deal. I could probably just about manage that. did he give you any reason for concern?
I just don't trust him.
That makes two of us.
He seems like the kind of fellow that would sell his grandmother down the river for a few dollars.
Yeah, that's the kind of vibe I got as well. Okay, I'll take the suit. You take the kids.
And Liam will go and start getting ready.
Mm-hmm. Jackson will do the same.
Wonderful. And our lovely doctors, Agent Hart. What of the three of you?
Well, I would actually like to kind of jog up behind Hart and just go, next time, coffee for the class would be appreciated.
Yeah, it's always good to share, Zach says as he runs up after.
Well, perhaps we can meet beforehand next time, or maybe I'll grab a cart.
There's those little packages you can get for multiple people.
Yeah, and we drink a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee, like
So much coffee.
I think I can see into the sun sometimes when we drink that much.
It's true.
Must be difficult to keep a steady hand.
You'd be surprised.
Well, you seem to spend a lot of time in the lab. Have you been out in the field before?
No, not in some time, not since I was quarantined for a little bit there. This will be my first time in a while.
Yeah, this will be my first time, really. At least on something like this. I mean, I used to work in the field, but that was before I came here, and it wasn't this type of work.
Well, how difficult can a missing persons case in New York be?
I mean,
He
if they're
says
calling him
obviously
the
sarcastically.
FBI, and Zach completely misses that, and it's just like, well, I mean, if they're calling in the FBI, probably difficult.
All right, come on, doctors. Let's get you two geared up.
One of the other things that Lieutenant Liam will do is, after he's fully geared up, he's going to go to his cubicle and make a phone call.
And who is the first lieutenant calling?
First lieutenant is going to be calling his commander from the GOC, which is was it Sadie Eden?
Yes, Personnel Director Sadie Eden.
That's the GOC director, or?
No, Sadie Eden is the Personnel Director for Site 26.
That's who we just talked to.
Yeah, that's who you just spoke with.
So the person, I don't think we named the GOC contact.
Okay, well, we can, let me see. I know I have it in my notes. Give me one moment. That is a Joshua Moore.
Joshua Moore. And what's Joshua Moore's position?
Joshua Moore is the liaison between organizations.
Right, so I'm calling Mr. Moore.
Sure. There's a couple of rings. It leaves you kind of holding for a couple of moments, and then just before you feel like the you're gonna hit voicemail, finally you hear the click, and it picks up and goes, "Hello,
Mr. Moore, it's Liam.
Lieutenant MacCern. What can I do for you?"
I was giving you a call. There seems to be a slight change in the understanding between our two organizations. The SCP has deemed it prudent to send me into the field, which, as you know, isn't a major issue for me, but I wanted to make sure that it was processed and by who and why the sudden change.
Well, paperwork seems to be in order. We received it this morning. There isn't a explanation that I'm personally happy with, but higher-ups cleared it. Feel like it's worth having you in the field for. Seems like it's not going to be something that puts you at risk, so could be a good opportunity to see the fundamental differences in function.
Not at risk. What a shame. Well,
No need to be in such a rush to die.
I'm saying that dying, just getting my heart pumping again would be the first good step.
Well, I'd say this is the first step towards getting there, right?
So, all right, yeah, I suppose this does make sense if I'm to be the first contact liaison between the SCP and the GOC, before you, of course. I should know how they function, although you and I both know that we've both seen the shit go down pretty badly in the field. SCP doesn't know how to do real field operations, in my opinion.
You and me both.
All right, well, I'll put in my report to you when I get back.
Sounds like a plan. Stay safe. If anything does get too dangerous, bug out, make it back. We'll readjust based on what you encounter.
You know, they send researchers out into the field before they even know what's going on.
The Foundation does like their secrecy.
Researchers, civilians, out in the field, first time contact. Ridiculous.
You're not wrong.
All right, I'll see you next time. And without any further ado, William just hangs up the phone.
Now, is there anything that anyone would like to do before we move on towards our short trip?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, while I'm making sure that our two nerds here are putting their flak vests on correctly and know which way to point their guns and whatnot, I'm going to be flipping through that file.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking through the file, there's a number of pieces of information that immediately stand out to you. Obviously, the most basic of it is that the police were brought in. Charlotte's father was a private investigator who worked very closely with the NYPD for many years, and so there was a pretty heavy push to get this investigated, and is likely part of what made this end up getting pushed higher up the chain to eventually the FBI. But besides that, the bits of information that would stand out are about the building, the Verando. The Verando seems, at first glance, to be a perfectly normal functioning building. Water, heat, gas, electricity, and everything else. However, for a number of reasons cataloged within this folder, none of those utilities have remained on externally. The bills leading to their continued usage haven't been paid, and they have been shut off. But for some reason, all of these remain completely functional within the building. The police have essentially chalked it up to issues from the various companies, although if it's made its way here, it's a fair assumption that that is not the case. Besides that, there is a lot of information about tenants acting strangely, though nothing particularly concrete. The police, again, unsurprisingly, did not have the most detailed reports, and from what you're reading, it does feel fairly obvious that they were more than happy to pass this off to someone else, upon not immediately finding an answer.
So who's acting strangely?
The tenants within the
The
veranda.
tenants.
Yes.
And what exactly does strangely mean?
Again, it's sort of vague, but they are the terms used range from strangely to eccentric to useless.
Okay.
Are these files also on the computers for us to access?
Yes, I assume that you would have access to a tablet that you could have on the go that would have this information. You also are given upon arriving at the front door, the open door policy, a set of keys that are labeled for the building and for Charlotte's apartment. You're also given a picture of the building itself and a clip from a article in the New York Post about the disappearance, which goes over again the basics that she just sort of up and vanished. Her father is worried. No leads have been found, and it is difficult to call it the talk of the town anywhere in a place as large as New York City, but it does seem to be getting some focus. But again, it's strange almost fundamentally that this missing person, that there doesn't seem to be any hard information about presented to you or to them, is being focused on quite so much. Something absolutely does seem missing. So with all of you geared up, you are brought through the checkpoints that lead to SCP 9738. I believe I got that right. 7938. My apologies. 7938. And find yourselves going across this sort of metallic rampway where you are once again sort of scanned. Each of you is instructed to present all of the gear that you have, any bags that you have for an x-ray machine, each of you subject to a pat down. And once that is done, assuming that there is no issue with that, you are directed to a very plain looking wooden door made of maybe oak, in a large row of a number of doors, each of a different material. As you do this, there are no less than 4 trained armed security on you at all times, although not aimed at you, but prepared in the event that something were to happen. Director Eden arrives only moments before you begin your departure, and reminds each of you that were you to need anything from the Foundation, you have but to call. Stay safe, do your jobs, be as quiet as you can be. And that last bit, she keeps her eyes squarely on Liam.
Liam is actually a little too preoccupied with eyeing the door. And a couple, probably Kennedy would be the only one that knows. Maybe the researchers also have seen his apprehension of using SCPs for any function, and the idea of going through a teleportation device of unknown origin would not be the greatest thing in his mind.
Reasonable.
All right, I've always wanted to say this. Let's move out, team. Opens the door and walks through.
Sure.
Not a care in the world.
Love it. Yeah, you step through, and there is this just split second of sheer cold, like bone-chilling cold. You find the breath that you're halfway through as you go through the door seems to be almost pulled from your lungs. And as you exit on the other side, the rest of your breath exhales in a cold bit. Actually, you find yourself in a place that you probably have never been officially before, but one that you certainly have encountered. You are now at Site 42. Site 42 is located in Soho, right outside of a trans-dimensional alleyway that harbors an artist art gallery, which I assume Hevard would probably be quite familiar with.
Before stepping through this door myself, I am actually going to check over my weapons and the things that were assigned to me. It may surprise Jackson and Liam, but I actually know my way around my handguns and my weapons, so that's a positive.
Always good.
Yeah, Jackson's watching everything, taking it all on board as to who's doing what, and not particularly impressed that Hart has just wandered through the door with no real thought process as to what might be on the other side. It's just like, okay.
And I'm going to say Zach is kind of in between Hart and Zura and how he approaches it. Like, you can see he is taking inventory. He is mindful of what he is carrying. And then he just gets so fascinated by the door and like what is about to happen that you can see his attention kind of breaks. So it's not that he's not entirely diligent. It's just that he could definitely be a little more prepared as he like goes to step through. But he's definitely like, you can tell this is one of the most exciting moments of his life. Like, he just can't wait to see this.
Kennedy, you taking the rear or shall I?
I'll take the rear. Just make sure they don't die.
Fuck it. And Liam will take a deep breath before pulling down his gas mask and going through the door.
Wonderful. And again, each of you, as you step through, get that same sort of bone-chilling cold. And it seems to linger for a moment as you pass through, just sort of falling off of you slowly. But you find yourselves here at Site 42, only about a 10-minute drive away from your destination.
So
I assume they have a vehicle ready for us.
Absolutely, they do have a vehicle ready for you. There's there's two choices. In preparation, knowing that Agent Hart, you were going to be on duty here, they do have your car available for you if it is something you would like to take. They also have a fairly standard SUV that will fit either all of you or the rest of you if Agent Hart does desire to take their car.
What type of neighborhood are we going into here?
So Kips Bay is a relatively well-to-do neighborhood. It's not something where you would be overly concerned about any lasting damage to your vehicle parked outside.
Okay.
I assume that is what you're asking.
Yes. So there's a big spectrum there in New York. Yeah, as we're going to the cars in the garage or out front or wherever it may be, I'm gonna scoop up the nerds again. All right, so I don't know if either of you have been to New York before. These are my old stomping grounds. A few simple rules. Look where you're going when you're walking. If anyone's walking towards you, get kind of out of their way, but not fully. You might have to shoulder somebody. They'll get over it. Don't talk to anybody unless spoken to. Don't smile. Don't touch anybody else's cars. And don't wander off. You'll get lost or mugged.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
Sounds like Glasgow to me. All right.
It's
So,
I don't think anyone's going to mug us with Lieutenant Liam looking like this.
That's a good point.
Is the mask really necessary? You know, that kind of sets people off.
why you're the face, not me, there, Hart.
Right. Right. Well, maybe just stay towards the back then. We don't need people thinking there's been some sort of gas leak. Unless, you know, that would be advantageous, but that tends to cause people to panic.
Oh no. How much we wish that people would not panic when there's possibly something killing people inside of an apartment building. Anyway, where are we taking this one here? Pointing at the car.
Okay, before we go, let's a quick check-in. We've all read the information.
Yes.
Thoughts? Anything that stands out before we get started? Any concerns? Anything that people were worried about?
Any conclusion I can make off of that base information would likely be flawed without further data analysis.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Anything else? Hart?
Well, it's an apartment full of strange people. That sounds like a great place to go for stories. See what we can learn. We might also want to contact building administration and maybe some of the local utility companies and see if they have any sort of remarks on the strange usage of out of service utilities. That's the only overtly unusual thing in this report. So that's something to go off of. We could get in contact with the father.
He's
That-
going to be a problem. We really don't need a PI getting in the way of our investigation. If anyone's going to suss us out, if he's any good at all, it's going to be him. We need to keep him at a distance from this. We question him, but we do not give him any information that he can use. Otherwise, this is just going to go to hell.
I think we should start with getting some readings. I want to know what's going on with those utilities. Maybe we can get some more data, like Zura was saying, and figure out what's supplying that juice and go from there before we start bringing other people in or questioning them.
I agree. We should like remove all environmental factors before we just waltz right into the building.
Seems like this is right up your street then. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's go and see what we can find, shall we?
Certainly. So, looking through the folio, obviously there are some recommendations on places you can go, both for the utilities, well, for all of the utilities. There are more than 2 utilities. And another piece of information that you see is the Verando is owned by a company called Art Breathes. It is a non-profit organization that rents properties out at low cost to local artists and helps those artists get connected with publishers and other art organizations. It is supported by grants from successful creatives and organizations that are in turn the first to be put in touch with said artists residing within the building.
So who's taking? I'm considering this. Is this your car, Hart?
It is. It is.
Got it here quick then. Well, suppose you'll be driving then.
Well, as much as I do miss getting behind the wheel of this thing, we are under the guise of FBI agents, and unfortunately, the US government doesn't have the budget for this sort of beautiful vehicle. So, as much as I'm loath to do so, I'd say we all pile in this rather dull SUV.
Since you have called it beautiful, would you like to take a moment and tell everyone what this beautiful
Sure.
ride of Agent Hearts is?
Yes. Let me just pull that up.
Absolutely.
This beautiful vehicle is a Mercedes AMG GT Roadster, which I believe is a relatively new car. It is a convertible coupe. I'm not a car person myself, so I don't know how to talk about cars. But it is a beautiful piece of machinery. It looks just out of the factory like a James Bond spy car. It looks fast, it looks lean, it looks sophisticated. And who knows what Hart has done with it in his time. And it is in this almost, how would you describe this color? It's a sort of deep, semi-pearlescent, semi-sparkly navy to sky blue. Drake, Lion, sorry. Would you imagine that I have any way to change the color of my car? Can I polarize this in any fancy way?
I think that's something we could make happen, certainly.
All right. Yeah, actually, he's gonna look at the SUV. He's gonna look at his car. Look back at the SUV. We should definitely bring this along. We're probably going to need the trunk space, but we're going to a pretty nice neighborhood. It'd be a shame to not take this out of such a drab place. And he fishes into his suit. He pulls out his key fob, spins something on it, presses a button, and it shimmers from this blue color to the same black as the SUV. And he just puts the convertible top up.
Incredible
There we go.
feature. But did you know the front engine in the AMG supercar scores the worst in reliability in 24 cars surveyed?
But it has some of the best handling. It's not always about power.
Hmm.
It's subtle.
It can be.
Liam is going to point to Zura and Zachary. You two are with me in the SUV.
Sure.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And I'll hop into the SUV.
Zura, just about as you pull the door open for the SUV, you catch a familiar flash of movement out of the corner of your eye, near Agent Hart's car. If you choose to look over, there doesn't seem to be anything there.
Yeah, I flinch immediately and just go, oh, did it followed me here? Great. And I'll climb into the back of the SUV.
And Zach definitely notices that, but doesn't say anything. He waits until you're both in the back seat and then just kind of glances at Zura and asks, everything okay?
Oh, yes. It is a project I've been assigned to. I just thought I would have a moment away from it.
Seems like that's not the
Liam
case.
So both of the researchers are sitting in the back seat.
Oh, okay. And I'll awkwardly scooch and crawl across the front seat into the back, kind of ending up upside down for a moment before riding myself.
Incredible.
As Liam climbs into the driver's seat, he places a bolt-action rifle as well as an automatic rifle into the passenger seat, pulls out a pistol and puts it into the drinking holder in the dash.
Not one to waste space. First Lieutenant Liam MacCern.
All right, Kennedy, looks like you're with me. You got shotgun. I'll go over to the boot, flip it open, throw a bag in, drop your stuff in here, and take a seat. Buckle up. Mind the radio.
I think it's at this point that Liam and Jackson's eyes meet knowingly.
Mm-hmm. Both just
before
nod at each other.
before Liam turns the engine and starts heading off, going slow enough to let the other two catch up.
Love it. So, where are the group of you going to be heading for?
I believe the apartment complex, no?
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Just double checking. I didn't know if you wanted to go to check out the utility offices or whatnot.
I think we should go get pizza first. We are in New York. No, yeah, we'll go to the apartment. We'll get pizza later.
Just
These-
at some point, there has to be pizza gotten.
Of course.
Utility is also a great idea, but yeah, scoping out the building, a good place to start.
Mhm.
All right, so, pulling up the building has this very like faux castle sort of motif. It's a very classic sort of brownstone that faces out across a park, St. Vartan Park, which is right beside the bay. There are a couple of cracked stones across the face of it, and at the top of this 4-story apartment building are these sort of stone gargoyles that are in different states of disrepair. There's this large set of double glass doors at the front and ramparts that sort of surround the windows and the ledges of the building. And it just sort of seems to own the space that it stands in. If you've ever seen these buildings that are incredibly just imposing and feel larger than they physically are, this very much suits that kind of feeling. Now, whether that's anomalous or not, I leave up to you to figure out, but such is as is. What I would like to ask is, what is everyone's cognitive resistance?
Oh boy, here we go.
We're getting
Good
into some
question.
stats.
Starting already.
Okay. Yes.
Well,
11.1.
12.9.
15.3.
Oh,
I feel like I forgot to do my decimal point for this one, but it's fine. 12 is good.
11.2.
Okay, so was anyone's lower than 11.2, just to clarify?
11.1.
11.1. Okay, so as you're pulling up to this building, across in the park, amongst the people passing by, something catches your eye. There is a relatively large person in a hyper-realistic lion head mask with this massive grin and sharp teeth and bright orange eyes, who seems to be staring directly at you. And after a moment, this gloved white hand reaches up with a single finger and begins to trace out these symbols in the air. And as it does, it leaves behind little bits of flame lingering, creating this sort of pattern.
Yeah, I think Hev was just writing off New York being New York until this guy started drawing fire in the air.
We also have a hydrate check, so it is time to hydrate.
Okay, so normal New Yorker walking in a park, but he has a lion's head.
Yes.
And white gloves. Do I recognize what he's magic-ing?
If you would like, you could try to roll me a occult or a religion check.
All right. Yes, I am trained in the occult. That is an intelligence check.
Correct.
So that will be 3d8 for me.
Ooh.
All right. We take the highest 2, correct?
Correct. When you roll, you take the highest 2 of the dice that you have. and then you will add your knowledge.
Yes, so that is an 11 plus 2.8 for 13.8.
Ooh. Well, nothing seems to immediately jump out as you as being something you recognize or are aware of here, unfortunately.
Okay. Just to set the scene, Hart did park his car a block down on the other side of the street, just for safety, and we'll walk the way up. And as we're walking by this park towards the building, I'm just gonna nudge Kennedy. You see that over there?
Which
That
way?
fella? The guy with the lion's mask.
I will subtly look where he's pointing. Can I see said person in lion's mask?
So you look back and as you look back with him, they seem to be gone.
Huh.
Jesus, Hart, jumpy already.
Have to have your eyes peeled in New York. Wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've seen, but
What did you see?
guy, average clothes, white gloves, and a lion's head, or so it looked. But we are in a sort of artsy district. Could just be New York being New York. He's waving his fingers around a bit. Looked a little flamey in what he was doing, but again, artsy New York district. Could be nothing, could be something.
A mime, then?
There's a lot of different kinds of mimes around here.
Well,
none of them are good, I assure you.
No, agree with you on that. Okay, well, it's still weird. Let me know if you spot it again. As soon as you spot it again, if you do, just nudge me.
Sure.
And I'll just kind of casually look back where this lion face person was, just to double check there's nothing there.
Sure. And yeah, you look back and it's just your casual, normal tourists and New York folk just sort of walking to and fro at the escalated pace that New Yorkers tend to use.
I mean,
please.
So yeah, I'm quite happy to poke fun at Hart, but not going to put what he's seen out of context, because there's enough weird stuff that goes on that, I should make a mental note of it and keep my eye on him.
Absolutely. Also, Agent Hart, Jack, some team solidarity. Zoe cashed in an advantage for you, so the next time that you roll, I'm going to allow you to roll 2 extra of your highest dice when you make your roll.
Nice. I appreciate that, whoever you are.
It was me.
Yeah.
That was you. Awesome.
Teamwork.
Yes.
Great.
Amazing.
Also, since we are walking by a park, do I see a kid with a guitar with his guitar case out strumming away?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always at least one.
Yeah. I'm gonna reach into my pocket, pull out 2 smokes and a $5. Just toss it in there as we walk by.
Amazing.
And he kind of gives you the up nod. He doesn't stop strumming or anything. He's just like, thanks, dude. And he goes back to playing. Always a good way to put some positive karma out there. So Liam, you and the doctors, I assume not too far behind, correct?
Actually, I'm in the lead.
So you would have been waiting for them.
Indeed. In fact, so Liam, being a little bit more forward, actually drives right up and finds a parking space in front of the apartments in case something goes wrong. They don't want to have their escape routes several blocks away. And as Liam pulls up to the apartments, without turning back to look at them, Liam goes, "You two are going to stick very close to me when we're in there. I don't want you wandering off. I don't want to see your back unless I am 1 or 2 foot behind it. I don't want to see any sort of meandering about. We are here on a mission. You will be very focused. And if you are not, well, let's just say that I have my ways of getting you back in line, all right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. You hear that? I need to be very focused.
All right. And with that, Liam will re-don his weapons before climbing out and standing in front of the apartment building. All guns are holstered. The 2 larger ones on his back, but his hand is very close to his pistol at all times.
Right. And so I think the time discrepancy here is going to be relatively short. So it'll have the 3 of you coming out of the SUV as Agent Hart and Jackson. The 2 of you are sort of walking up, and still a couple of feet away, a middle-aged, darker-skinned, bald gentleman in plain clothes walks up towards Liam, hand on a sidearm at his hip, and goes, "Man, I really hope you're the feds."
Yes.
Not that I don't believe it based on the decisions you've made today, but you got any identification?
Liam squares up with this individual, turning directly towards him before reaching into his breast pocket.
Slowly, yeah?
The other one that approached me with a gun there, lad, and pulls out the ID that registers MacCern as an FBI agent, but under the name of Jacob McAllister.
And he reaches out. You mind?
Hands it to him.
Perfect. And he looks it over, and then after a moment, he flips it close. He goes, "Man, I cannot tell you the last fucking thing I needed today was some crazy dude with a bunch of guns." And he like hands you back, and then he offers his hand out. And this is just about as Agent Hart and Kennedy, the 2 of you walk up. Detective Torres. Glad y'all finally made it here.
Thank you much. So yes, my name is Lieutenant Jacob McAllister. These are my friends and compatriots and co-workers. We're here just to check some things out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I'm real glad y'all are here because I'm happy to hand off this crazy shit. It is all the way out of my fucking element.
So is there anyone else here besides you?
Nope, rest of them went home. I was just waiting for y'all to show up. Nothing's been touched inside. People are doing their thing. I mean, it's not like it's an active crime scene. It's a missing persons. It's a weird missing persons case, but it's a missing persons case, man. I just do not want to be in that fight. It's weird, man. It's
the current occupants are still inside.
Yeah. I mean, we're not evacuating the building because someone went missing. I mean, her place is weird, but like, I'm not. I don't get paid enough for that.
You keep saying weird. What exactly is weird?
They didn't brief y'all. All right. Well, she's got a whole bunch of shit just glued up on the walls, and it don't make no sense. And you know, the utilities stuff going on. I don't know, man. Something about going in there just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't want none. I don't need none. It's all, yeah, I will help however you need, but the further away from that place I can be, the happier I will be as a human being.
Interesting.
Very.
What can you tell us about the investigation you've conducted so far?
Well, she's been missing for about week and a half now.
That doesn't bode well. You know what they say about the first 48 hours.
Yep, all too well. But you know, we're doing everything we can. Her dad was a good friend of the precincts. Our captain is close to him. He worked with us for a long time, and you know, it's always a shame when something like this happens. But
have you looked into friends, past employers, ex-boyfriends, girlfriends?
You know, that's the thing about artists like this. The past employers are a hard thing to find. I mean, the building is owned by some hoity-toity like art collective thing, and you know, so they're the closest thing to employers. Most of it is just worked through there. She just would work with different collectors and organizations through them. From what we can tell, hasn't really had any contact with any friends or family recently. Her last ex was about a year ago, so that didn't really help much. Didn't yeah, go ahead.
Do you have her medical records?
Yeah.
Any indications?
No
psychotic drugs.
No history of drug use. No history of any psychotic breaks, mental issues in the past. Seemed like an all right kind of gal. Just up and left. The tenants aren't really talking much to me. Maybe I'll have more luck, but again, we're not exactly people's favorite people right now.
Do you have the list of the names of the other tenants in this building?
Yeah, and he like reaches into his pocket and he pulls out, it's literally just like a scrap of paper. Yeah, and he hands it to you, and there's only 5 names on the list. It's like there's like 11 or 12 apartments here. Half of them are empty. From what we understand, that's not particularly strange. People don't seem to be here more than a couple of years, one way or the other, and then they move on. It's just people helping get off their feet. Though, if you ask me, you know, the whole art thing's a scam anyway. So it's just sucking as much cash out of their wallets as possible, keeping them here to make money for richer folk, and then sending them on their way when they're done.
Something about that kind of bothers me, and I just go, there's a building in New York that offers cheap rent, and it's not filled to capacity.
That's a good question. I mean, you could tell, what are the names? Art, I don't remember what the art something, art breeze, art lives, art, I don't remember, something like that. You can take it up with the company. If you don't have it, I can get you, we have it in our report. I'll get you a copy of that report, and you can take it up with them, see what's going on with that, because it's a good question, and you can't convince me there aren't at least 11 starving artists in New York at any given time. And he points over at the kid that Hart had tossed money. He goes, "Look at that guy. That guy doesn't live here. Come on."
As this guy's talking, Liam is going to be lifting up his mask and lighting up a cigar. But as he's doing that, his eyes are directed towards the building to see if there's anyone watching from the window.
Ooh, why don't you roll me an awareness? I believe it's perception awareness.
Awareness. Perception. $15.9.
So you don't see anyone peeking out of the windows, but you do notice one of the windows on the first floor seems completely covered in just random like scraps of paper and whatnot. But there don't seem to be any eyes focused on anything here, or even looking out the window at this point. You can see on the second floor the like bit of cast shadow from someone just past the window, but you didn't catch any movement that would lead you to assume that they were watching you or peeking out.
Lion, I would like to do an architecture check on the building and see what Zachary might gauge given his experience with archaeology and cultural anthropology.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, let's definitely do it. Let's make it happen.
So that would that be intelligence architecture or perception architecture?
Give me one moment. I will double check. I have the sheet right in front of me. That will be, we're gonna go with intelligence architecture still. Yeah.
All right, that is sadly only going to be a 12.
Okay. There's not too much that really stands out, but you do know that based on the way this building seems like it's been set up, it's an older building. It's probably the early like 1900s, maybe not any later than 1930 in construction. But beyond that, there's not much that really clicks for you looking this place over. I do love that thinking though. I love that. Definitely more of that.
If only the dice loved me more.
Sometimes we're a slave to the numbers.
Well, we'd be glad to look over any reports that you have made so far, any contacts that you could forward with us, any interviews you've already conducted. The last listed location for this Charlotte Williams, was that in this apartment? Was she seen somewhere more recently?
No, last we heard she was here. No one saw her leaving. There's no video of her leaving. There's nothing that stands out says she went anywhere. She just wasn't
called
here.
In this missing persons report?
Her father. Her dad's the one who got in touch with us. And he was apprehensive. They weren't really talking anymore. He said that was pretty new, only a couple months. And then she just stopped responding to his calls, texts, emails. So he shows up and she's not there. He has a key, lets himself in, and she's just not there.
Have you spoken to him about the nature of their falling out?
He said it wasn't really the falling out so much as it was just a he said she was acting strange. She was focused on she had some kind of display coming up in a couple months, and she was supposed to be working on stuff for that, but she kept getting distracted, and then she just started spouting nonsense.
What sort of nonsense?
He wasn't really too specific. He said it didn't really make sense. Something about lights and music and services. It was he was thinking maybe she found some kind of like culty religion thing, but we haven't seen anything to lead that way. At least not on our end. He said it was like those. So being in New York, you know, he's obviously once or twice come across some of those Scientology people, and he said it just gave him those sorts of vibes. But, you know, no offense to the guy, because he was real good at what he did, but when it's your kid, it's hard to be objective, you know. So I don't know.
You said the apartment, has that been? You haven't searched it yourself?
I mean, we did a walkthrough, but we haven't touched anything. We wanted to bring y'all in. We didn't want to. We were told immediately not to handle anything, not to deal with any. Just leave it to you guys. And like I said, I'm not complaining. I don't want to be here.
Very good. We appreciate that. Well, you go tend to your own work, find some place to relax, and Can I get your contact details in case I need anything else from you, Detective Torres?
Yeah, absolutely. And he pulls out his card and he passes it to you.
Much appreciated.
Detective Torres, before you go, you mentioned that every time you go into the building, you get the heebie-jeebies. What do you notice starts happening to you physiologically?
I mean, that's you ever walk on through a tunnel late at night? Lights aren't really working so good. You keep thinking you're hearing footsteps, but there's like no one there. And get that little like sensation on the back of your neck, shoulders kind of tighten up a bit. It's like that kind of it just feels off. But that's all I really got. Let me tell you, I'm a God-fearing man myself, but whew, that is not the place to be.
Kind of lean in over to Dr. Zachary at this point and go, we may want to check the electricity and EMF fields based on that.
Exactly what I was thinking. Also make sure there's not a gas leak or anything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, is there anything else that you need from me, or because I'm really excited to go home, have some lunch, be done for now. Like I said, anything you need, obviously you can give me a call, but fuck this. if I could be so blunt.
Seems we're good. We'll take over the investigation from here. Go enjoy a sandwich.
Yep. There's in case any of you get hungry, Gino's only a couple blocks down. There's some good sandwiches.
Good to know.
All right. Good luck. Try it. I mean, I don't know that you need all those guns, but just be careful. People get kind of jumpy around someone in a mask carrying a bunch of rifles. Just a heads up. It would be a real shame if we got called back here for no reason.
Thank you,
William
Detective.
William is going to put out a cigar, pull the mask back down, and just stare at the detective for a moment before going into the building.
Yep.
Oh no, wait,
As-
the reading's okay. Just walk right in.
And
As we go past the detective, I'll just pat him on the shoulder and go, it's okay, he's house trained.
I think with our lovely squad making their way up to the steps of the veranda, this is where we are going to take our break. That way we and all of you fantastic people watching can take a step away, get some water, use the bathroom, stretch, do whatever you got to do, go wherever you got to go to. You don't have to stay here, but make sure you are back, because we'll be back in between 15 and 20 minutes. Since this is our first break, I just want to have some wiggle room there. Between 15 and 20 minutes with the second half of A Crumbling Foundation. So stick around for that. And we're back. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us through this break. Hopefully, everyone's had a chance to step away, get something to drink, go to the bathroom, stretch out, do what you need to do. But we're back in business. When we last left off, our squad of interesting folk were making their way up to the front steps of the beautiful, the questionable, the interesting, shall we say, Valero. So, approaching the building, you Liam, you were in the lead, right? You were just going for it. The verando. I don't know why I said the Valero.
That's right. Liam will remove his mask and attach it to his belt, so it's hanging off the side. So it looks so imposing.
Love it. Right, and yeah, getting up to the front, like I said, there are these two glass doors. Beyond that is a small sort of glass and metal framed sort of square room that is fairly commonplace in a lot of New York apartment buildings. Inside there is a list of the tenants and the buttons for an intercom system that probably was installed sometime in the 60s. Beyond that is a single long hallway with marbled floor and a number of doors further down that are certainly apartment doors. And to your right is sort of a wall of golden-faced mailboxes with a few coupons and other random things scattered across the floor. Obviously, this place has not been particularly well kept up, mopped, cleaned, or whatnot. There's plenty of old footprints or boot prints, shoe prints, because no one's walking this floor barefoot. At least not for quite some time. What would you like to do?
Is there I assume that our missing lady has a post box there as well.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. It's probably worth checking to see if there's anything in it or if it's been opened recently.
Sure. Who grabbed the set of keys for this place, by the way?
I would
I could
assume
have them.
Hart.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. So have the I assume you just go in. You're not going to bother with any of the buzzers. And
Well,
oh yeah,
actually,
please.
yeah. First question: is this an apartment where you have to get buzzed in, or can you just walk into the lobby?
No. You either have to have a key or you have to get buzzed in.
Okay, so there's a key for the apartment and there's a key for the whole building.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, you notice I forgot to mention this, and that's on me. Apologies. As the group of you were walking up, you see off to the left of the entrance sort of a ramp going downwards. Most likely that is basement access. Again, a lot of New York apartments are built that way.
Okay. Is there a key for that?
There does not seem to be a key for that. No.
Okay. There is a key for the mailbox, though.
The apartment key, it probably doubles
Versus
as
the
the mailbox key. Yeah.
Okay. So she had two keys, one for the building, one for her room.
Correct.
And mailbox. Okay. Looking over at the directory there, do all of the names and apartments match what is on the piece of paper we got?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. There are 12 apartments in total, and 5 of them have names attached to them. The rest are left empty. There's a lot of grit in the slides that make it pretty obvious that they haven't been filled in a while.
And there's an intercom system?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to look over to Kennedy, who said that about the mailbox. Good idea, Kennedy. Check it out. I'll throw the keys his direction.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over to the intercom, and I'm going to press the button for Charlotte's room. See what happens.
Sure. I will also say that I sent over the list of tenants to the group of you over in Discord, so you have access to that information as well, and it will be available in our spreadsheet stuff for next session. Yeah, so you go over and you press the button, and there's a little bit of a like resistance when you go to push it. Not enough that it makes it difficult to press in, but again, it's just there's enough sort of dirt and grime caked into it that it takes a little effort to depress. But you push it in, and there's that sort of deep, and the silence just sort of lingers in the air for a moment, and you get no response.
Okay. I'm gonna just press one other non-occupied apartment at random.
Sure. So you push one of the other buttons, and again you get that deep and nothing.
Hello, sir or madam. Do you have time for the good word?
And there is no response.
All right. I'll head over to Kennedy and see what he's pulling out of the mailbox.
Since everyone is kind of just runned in, I'm going through my bag of belongings, just kind of like pulling out my EMF and doing a quick scan, my Geiger counter, doing a quick scan, trying to do whatever I can to ensure this place is safe while they're all contaminating themselves.
I was going to say, at least Zach stays with you, Zura. Like, I feel like you're tag teaming it. Like, you're taking out the EMF, he's taking out like the Geiger counter. Like, you're both actually taking this seriously and not wanting to not wanting to be walking into something we don't know what's going on.
I don't want to be exposed to something.
Too late for that.
And I think it was Liam who was like, the civilians. Ah. Yeah, absolutely. So it'll take you a minute to sort of get them calibrated and turned on and prepped. But when you do, for the EMF reader and the Geiger counter, both, it's just completely normal readings, what you would expect to see here. Nothing alarming, nothing that sets you off.
Liam is inside the lobby proper and kind of just looking around, trying to spy out anything out of the ordinary.
Sure. So there doesn't seem to be anything that really stands out here as being out of the ordinary or strange. There's 4 sets of doors further down the hall. There's a cut off to the right that has a set of stairs leading up to the next floor. A couple of vents in the upper part of the walls. Besides looking like a place that doesn't have a janitor on payroll, nothing really stands out. For Jackson, you were going to the mailbox, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so popping open her mailbox, key goes in and turns without any issue. There is a just bunch of letters of overdue bills for electric, for gas, for water. There's a number of rental reminders that just are the increasing, like the normal, like you owe rent. Then there's the one that has like the next month's date on it. Then the one that has urgent written in red light writing, and then open immediately. Along with that, there's like a couple of magazines for different what is the word? Why am I blanking on it? So sorry. For different art installations around the city. That's pretty much all. And there's one that looks and feels, when you pull it out, is sort of like paper thin. It wouldn't be ridiculous to assume that this is probably some kind of a paycheck for something she's done recently.
How long ago did they say she disappeared?
It's just over a week, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's a lot of mail for a week, isn't it?
When's the furthest back dated?
So looking through them, the earliest date that you see is from about 4 months ago.
4 months.
Looks like she has been picking up her mail for quite some time.
As you're all going through this person's mail, I've finished my scan and I rap on the glass to let me in. I go, "That's a felony."
We're FBI agents.
Oh, right.
I'm
Let
gonna
me
go
in.
through. Yeah, we'll go over and open up the door for the nerds. And then I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna grab all the magazines and anything that looks non-business related. And I'm gonna take out my phone and I'm gonna flip open Facebook and Twitter and flip open because we're in the 90s now. Swipe open. And,
They have the new Samsung
That's
flip
true.
phone now. Yeah.
That's true. Hev would have the newest,
latest phone.
newest-
Yep.
there
newest
you
trend. Yeah, he'll flip open his new age flip phone and open up Facebook, Twitter, whatever is available. I want to see if I can start working on a profile for this woman and see how that might have changed within the last 4 months.
Sure, absolutely. Why don't you roll me a computer or a research? I'll accept either.
Okay, computer or research.
Both
Okay.
are knowledges.
Okay. Yes. Okay, yeah, I will roll a computer check. Well, you know what? I think computer is really more about hacking and manipulating the computer to do things in very specific ways. This does feel more like, even though I have less of a bonus to this, it feels more like either research to me or even psychology.
Okay. That's both seem reasonable. I will let you roll either.
Okay. I'm gonna go with psychology because I want to get in the mind of this woman.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Also, I'm a very charismatic person, and psychology is charisma based. So I have 48 and 2d10. I take the highest 4.
Yes, and you will add 2 more d10 to this roll because you have advantage from Zoe.
Okay. On top of the 4 I would normally roll.
Yes.
Gotcha. And you said add 2 of my highest dice?
Correct.
So that would be 2d10 plus another 2d10 plus 2d8. And then I take the highest 2 and I add 2.1.
Nice.
What do we got? Any explosions? No, not quite. Highest 2 is an 8 and a 7. That's 15, so 17.1.
Very nice. So it's going to take you about 15, 20 minutes to scroll through all these socials and see what you pick up. In the meantime, is there anything anyone else would like to do while Hev is scrolling?
I'd quite like to open the paycheck.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So,
just to check the date on it and how much.
Yeah. So,
it was going to be for.
Absolutely. So you rip open the paycheck, you pull it out. It's dated from about 4 months ago, like the earliest of the mail. And it's for $500.
Okay.
Where's it from?
It is from the name on the check is the Atlas Artworks Foundation.
Okay.
As they are doing that, Liam looks at the 2 researchers and says, well, while they're doing whatever they're doing, why don't you 2 check out the apartment? And when you 2 are done, we'll meet you up there. Let's go, kids. And Liam starts walking towards the room, which was, I do believe, 6. No, what apartment number was it?
1A.
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 Yeah.
There we go.
I will say, as we're walking, Zach does kind of turn to Liam and say, I think starting with the apartment makes a lot of sense, but we also need to start talking to the other residents here. And I'm just going to throw it out there, First Lieutenant. I don't think they're going to talk to me if you're right by my side. I think that's going to intimidate them. I think they're going to clam up, and I think I can get some good information out of them if I'm given just, a little bit of free reign to talk to them. So that may be something we could work out.
Permission denied. We'll keep walking.
And Zach
Kennedy,
just
there
kind of
any
looks
reason-
to Zach just looks to Zura and says, "Wait, was that a yes or a no?"
No, that was not allowed.
Okay.
Kennedy, do you have any reason to stick around here?
I'm just curious. During your check, can you get an indication as to disposable income?
Well, this will take a bit to get any precise profiling, but do I notice any like recent posts about vacations or buying some like treat yourself sort of situation?
So you find, looking through all of her different social medias, because like many people nowadays, especially someone in their 20s in 2022, they're on everything. You realize that all of these accounts don't have a post more recent than 6 months ago.
Okay.
And the last couple of posts, probably Instagram has the most recent ones, where there was one where she's pretty elated about having figured out the next step in her career.
Do you relay this to us at all?
First, she didn't elaborate as to what that next step might be.
No, it was one of those very traditional vague posts. Something great on the horizon. I finally see where I'm going. Type of.
I got a ton of new projects coming up. Follow more. Yeah.
I don't feel called out at all.
Well, it sounds like Liam dragged the nerds off to the apartment, so I don't think I had time to divulge any of this. But yeah, I was wondering if there was any particular reason for the two of us to hang out in the lobby, or if, I mean, my inclination would be to just all go to the apartment now.
I just want to check one thing. Is there any way of, we've obviously got names of the people that are here. Is there any way of checking to see how full their mailboxes are?
Not unless you have a way and a will to break them open.
Yeah, I am tempted to do that. I think it would be worthwhile. I need to establish if this is a pattern. So pick one at random, and I don't suppose you're any good at picking locks, are you, Mr. Hart?
Is there a building manager's office?
No, there is no on-site manager's office.
Okay. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a little leather wrapping. I could give it a try, I suppose. It may be easier to get in contact with the building administration, but I'm not opposed to jumping a few hurdles. See if this works.
Just a sneaky peek, I think.
All right. So, which mailbox are you going to attempt to get a sneaky peek into?
I would like. I'm gonna go with Jared Moore.
Yeah.
2B.
Okay. Sure. Why don't you roll me your lockpicking?
All right, that is dexterity, so that is 3d8 plus 1d10.
Excellent.
It's not something I'm particularly trained in at all.
Do you have no points in it?
I have no points in it.
Okay. I believe there is a mechanic for that. Give me half a moment. I will find it. I think
And I did not roll well.
once per session, when you make a check that isn't one of your something you have points in, you can roll a d10 and add the 10th that you roll to that skill.
Okay.
So if you would like, it may not help much.
So that is a 9.4.
Okay. So you get to add that 0.4 as permanently part of your skill advancement.
Cool.
Nice.
And yeah. Actually, it's supposed to be a D6, but it's fine. That's my mistake. It's no big deal. So what was that in total?
9.4.
9.4. Okay. So you take some time and you slide them into place and you start sort of playing with it. And you find yourself sort of catching the first couple of teeth and you feel them sort of settle into place. And you're pretty confident you've got it. And you go to start turning it. And you hear that little clicking sound as the pins fall back down, tumbling out of place, leaving you still locked out of the mailbox.
Yeah, this might take me a little while. I'm much more proficient at simply acquiring the keys. If you want, I can call up the building administrator.
I don't think it's that important. I'm just, why does someone not check their mail for 4 months, especially when they know they're going to be getting money?
That's the part that stands out.
I mean,
Unless, of course, they were getting money from someplace else.
But
when was that? That check was dated how long ago?
was it? Did you say 6 months ago?
Yes.
It was also 6 months ago. Okay, coinciding fairly close with that post about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, the only reason they're living here is because they don't have disposable income.
Presumably.
Cheap place to rent. Okay. If you've got a check for $400-500, you're going to be cashing that as soon as it comes through.
You would think. By that time, it looks though that this strangeness with her billing has cleared up. Why pay for utilities if they're already shut off but still working?
What about food?
It is certainly an oddity.
Hmm.
But I have known these artistic types to get hyper fixated on things and
Maybe
forget about living. It's an oddity, certainly. We could look into this Atlas Artworks Foundation. I'm sure we could find more details about them through art
definitely booths. Yeah, I get the feeling that they're going to be part of this. I mean, I get the purpose behind this, but Zura said this place isn't full, and considering how much everything costs here, that does not make any sense at all.
They could have a very selective application process. It might be cheap, but it might be exclusive to a particular degree of artisticness.
Do we know what kind of art she made?
She was a sculptor.
Okay.
Well, while I'm having this conversation, I'm going to text Zach. And, hey, Zach, take a video while you're going through the apartment.
And Zach will just send you the thumbs up emoji in response.
And I think that's a good opportunity for us to pivot our focus a bit over to the first lieutenant and our doctors. So, arriving at the front door of Charlotte's apartment, there is a just very simple 1A sort of black metal bit that has been hammered into the door. And immediate inspection shows there doesn't seem to have been any like damage to the door or the frame or anything else like that. This is still in one piece. No one's broken in, and no one's forced their way in.
Liam is going to check his sidearm, and then we took the apartment key, right?
We for the sake of simplicity, we can absolutely say you did. I assume you wouldn't go walking off to the apartment door without someone grabbing the key.
I wouldn't put it past Liam to just kick the door in.
That's also fair.
We show up, go shit, and then turn back around and
Boom.
And Liam's just like, no, I got it.
Liam will hold his hand up to the two with him, open the door very slowly, and do a quick scan of the room with his gun out, making sure to check the corners and then turning the lights on.
Sure. Actually, when you open the door, the lights are already on. The first thing that hits you is this. Just
I turned them off.
Do you?
No.
We'll have better cover. You open the door, the lights are on, and the first thing that hits you is just the smell of stale air. Just that like stagnated, empty room smell when things are just sort of left for a while. It's not putrid or rotten in any way, just that recognizable empty place smell. The next thing that immediately draws your attention as you enter is this place is two things, actually. One is completely devoid of furniture. So having already sort of seen the breakdown of the building in the folio, you know that these are just moderately sized studio apartments for, being in New York, with a little bathroom cutout and a bit of a kitchenette. But stepping inside, there is no furniture whatsoever. There's no beds, no seats, no tables, nothing. Everything is just completely gone. And the entire place is sort of a almost methodical mess. There are sketches and clay models, pages of scrawled text, broken pieces of seemingly random objects, sort of coating every inch of the walls and the window. You very quickly put together that this was the window that you had noticed from the outside. Every inch of wall is covered in something.
Liam is not going to pay much attention to that, but just keep scanning the room. His hand will come up, motion them inside as he moves deeper into the apartment, checking the other rooms inside.
Sure. Like I said, it's like a pretty traditional studio. So there's the only other room besides this like main room is this cutout like bathroom, which has sort of this just very traditional clawfoot tub and a very basic like metal rod that's been put up with one of those incredibly cheap flimsy shower curtains, and like a sink. You also realize that the rug, this like sort of gray rug, lies in scraps across the floor, exposing the linoleum tile. And your boots sort of like make that heavy sort of like thudding sound as you step through it. You also notice sitting in the center of the like room itself, the studio, is a box marked evidence, FBI, Williams C.
Liam is going to continue to check all the rooms. Once that is over, he will come back and nod to the two of them. All yours.
Absolutely. And as the rest of you sort of step through the room, you see, pieces of like broken plasticware and just wire stripped from something. What looks like an entire speaker disassembled into pieces, all sort of laid out meticulously, somehow affixed to the wall. The only thing not on the wall, laying on the ground, is what looks like an older model iPhone that clearly is damaged, and it's very easy to notice the scorch mark on the wall from where it was probably pried free, and to the unfortunate end of the battery.
Oh my. This is not what I expected. Expected a crime scene maybe, but this is something else.
This it's disturbing in a way I wasn't expecting.
As you sort of settle from the initial shock of this, what seems like clear madness, you notice that there are also, at this point, sort of old and a little bit faded from what you assume are the police walking through this place, chalk marks on the linoleum tile that just sort of make out symbols.
So Zach is definitely going to get that on camera. He's been just very carefully taking a video as they've been moving through, and he'll definitely kind of lean down to get those a little more clearly in focus.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm wondering, Lion, as I'm looking kind of at what is around, kind of similarly to what Hart was thinking, can I roll for psychology and see if I can try to get an understanding for what might have been going through a person's head who was leaving a room in this type of disarray?
Heck yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
All right, intelligence or perception?
Which would you like to use here? I will accept either.
I would love to use intelligence because that is my highest stat. All right, so that's going to be a 16.2.
Ooh, okay. So in a really out there way, it almost kind of resembles a thought board. Like just they threw these things up, while it obviously to someone looking from the outside doesn't seem to have any sense to it or logic behind it. It definitely resembles what you've seen people do back in when you were in college and even after, for ways to sort of lay out complex concepts to try and create a map to either better understand or present ideas.
For my end, what I'm trying to do is basically stand back and gaze at this room from an art perspective, because we know she's an artist, right? She's a sculptor and she has built up stuff on the walls coming out. So I'm trying to orient myself to see if there's like something she's intentionally crafted.
Oh, I like that. Okay, yeah, let's do an art check for that. That's a knowledge skill, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Okay. So you want me to use intelligence for this?
Yes.
And just to double check the system, I roll all of the things, right?
You roll the 4 highest things, and then you keep the
things.
2 highest things.
All right, let's do this. I did not explode. 16 plus what was on my sheet.
This is good.
Where's my art? Oh, okay. 18.9.
Really good. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you spent some time just kind of looking over this and looking for maybe not so much the patterns of it, right? Just the expression, what it is trying to share. And it takes a while. At first it just seems so foreign. It doesn't abstract artwork is very difficult to perceive sometimes. And that's very much what this feels like is an abstraction. But the more that you stand there sort of at the door, taking it all in, the more you see this sort of expression of someone. One of the easiest terms to use here maybe would be hungry, but not in the literal sense. Someone who is desperately chasing an idea and trying to present that idea, or at least present the desire of that idea. They want to find a way to loudly share that desire and that understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's sort of like they are thirsty for knowledge, understanding, and they want to share it with everyone else. So it's
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
extrapolating, essentially.
Yeah. There's a definite drive here that is being offered to share. Liam, what are you doing in the meantime?
Liam is posting guard at the door, allowing the nerds to be nerds. And just once in a while, we'll look down the hallways to make sure no one's walking up without being confronted, but also keeping a very close eye on the two.
Sure. Agent Hart. Captain Kennedy. Are the two of you waiting for the video from Dr. Ryan, or are you going to make inroads towards somewhere, or what would the two of you like to do?
I think we'll probably walk up towards the apartment and check out the video once it comes through on our way up.
Excellent.
Yeah, my thoughts as well. Unless I see somebody in the hallway, but seeing as there's only 4 other people here.
Very true.
Do I notice any like are there flyers hanging up all over the place? Does one person have all kinds of crap stapled to the door? What's the general atmosphere of the building as a whole?
Well, the building, besides looking like it hasn't been well maintained, doesn't seem to have a lot of what you might come to expect from what is essentially an artistic compound.
Mm-hmm.
You like you hit the nail on the head, right? You would expect to see flyers and personal designs on doors and on walls, but none of that is here. It is just this drab, almost boring apartment building. There's a couple of like pizza coupons on the floor and like a coupon for Geno subs just sort of thrown haphazardly. But besides that,
do we hear any radios, any music playing, anyone arguing? Is there any sound of habitation in here?
The only sound is the sound coming from the fan vents. Just that low thrumming. That's it. Besides the footsteps of your companions echoing through the hallway.
I definitely do want to speak with some of the other tenants here, but I want to get a better idea of who Charlotte is more recently than the past 6 months. So I would personally like to take a look at the apartment and see what they've found out.
Okay.
Sure.
I will. I will trail behind, but I'm just keep an eye out behind us, just to make sure we're not being trailed or followed or.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's kind of coming up behind us or anything.
You're our doctor here, Doctor. Do you have any means of testing the air? Taking a look
I
at those vents,
suspect the
CO2.
I
whatnot.
suspect our two doctors most likely would have some equipment for that. I'm more of a stitch them back up together kind of doctor.
All right. Well, let's hope we
But
don't
you-
need your services today.
Well, the day's still young. But what I will admit is, as much as I hate to admit this, I think we probably did need to be called in on this because this is definitely not right.
I'm always on the lookout for something unusual. I've yet to see anything other than our lion friend who may or may not be even anything. I've really not seen anything that couldn't be written off as a junkie, a jealous ex-boyfriend, an abduction, a falling out, a running away. This could very well still be mundane, but I'm not discounting that there could be something else.
No, absolutely.
And I'd say that's when we walk into the apartment and we still see all kinds of symbols written
It's
on
like-
the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind. I would go straight for that.
that's-
Can I do those
Disturbing.
symbols look anything like what Tony the Tiger was drawing in the air?
Ah. Well, if you'd like, you can roll me an occult.
From their position at the door, Liam will also roll an occult.
Sure.
Not really any better than before.
One
What
of
is
my
that?
dice exploded.
12.8 for me.
I'm just gonna wait to see what Liam got. Then we'll
Holy
go-
shit. Wow, that was a really good roll. 9 plus 7 is 16, plus 3.5 is 19.5.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. Well, Agent Hart, it's definitely not the same symbols that your lion friend outside was drawing. But beyond that, you're not really sure. Liam, this is actually it took you a moment. You were taken aback by everything else in this room, but it clicks for you that recently a file came across your desk dealing with some stuff that you would be training field agents for, dealing with a cult that the Foundation recently uncovered, called The Voice of Is, IS in capital letters. Not too much is known or understood about the cult as is because they were the voice of is rather, as they were just discovered, but the interactions that they have had with Foundation agents has almost always turned violent. And as a result, this is something that you have come across because it is one of the motivators that they have used for having you training agents to be field ready.
My assumption would be, would I have been allowed to cross-reference with my contacts in the GOC?
Absolutely. The GOC has no information on this cult yet. More likely than not, it's not large enough to have hit their radar or have been active enough for them to be able to put any major effort into dealing with.
So what Liam's going to do is pull out his phone, take the pertinent documents that he has about this cult, and file share with the two nerds and the pretty boy and let them take a look at that before putting the phone back into his pocket, but not saying anything. He's just still staring back and forth down the hallway. Now that Kennedy is in the room, paying less attention to what's going on inside.
And I think with that realization, we are going to end our session for tonight. I would like to take a moment to say thank you to all of you amazing castmates who have been here and have been a part of this. Thank you to our incredible chat for being here and being so active and supportive. We really appreciate it. And I'm going to take a second to throw it around to everyone so they can remind you who they are, where you can find them, what they're up to, and why they're amazing. Like, we need a reminder. We know they're amazing. So let's start backwards this time. So, Zoe, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Zoe Trooper. It's been super fun tonight. Just doing the SCP game. I've been looking forward to it for a while. So yes, you can find me here at Tales from the Table Studios. You can find me on Hollowed Haven Studios, and you can find me at Component Cast doing a multitude of different, wildly different games, to be honest.
Always good.
Vampires, SCPs, and Cyberpunk. Well, I guess you could roll all of those into a cinnamon roll and it'd be
pretty spicy.
Passable.
I'd play that game.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me. You can also find me on Twitter as @ZoeTrooper, because that's my name.
All right. The Eye, you're up next.
I am the Eye. I am found here and only here. You will find me nowhere else but here on Tales from the Table. I play in DTA as Kunskap Soker, the best character ever made in any D&D campaign.
And so humble.
And also as Jacob McAllister, who I used today as a name, as a moniker in a Western game that we did. And I will probably be doing that a lot because I like to trade names between characters. And yes, if you like me, come here, watch me. That's all you can find me doing.
And do it, because they're great. And that also means you'll be here, and I won't complain about that, because I love to see everyone here. Tal.
Hi, so I'm Tal Woodblaze. I'm a writer and creator of TTRPGs. And the best place to find me is over on Twitter at The Gamer's Rest. And you can also find details for my monthly membership. So adventures and supplements, all those kind of great things. But yeah, and fantastic to do this for the first time. So yeah, thank you very much.
Heck yeah, and please do check that stuff out because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Jack.
Yes. Hello again. I am Jack. First and foremost, thank you, Lion. Thank you, you other four amazing people. It has been a blast. I am so looking forward to more of this. I'm loving all of these characters and all the fun ways I can be Hevard Hart with you all. If you like what I'm doing here, you can see more of that every week here when we're doing this. You can see me doing something entirely different, kind of entirely different, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST over on twitch.tv/Studio Tembo, where I will be, where I'm a cast member of Star Trek Europa under GM Jeff Harvey. Great guy, great game, another amazing cast of people. If you like Star Trek, it has that great late 90s Star Trek feel with TNG and Voyager and all of that. It's a great show. We got a lot going on right now, and we're coming up to the season 2 finale, and it's gonna be super exciting, but also super accessible. So if you like Star Trek, come check that out tomorrow. I'll be there. I'm excited for that. And I focus on my own channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, on a series called RPGs Uncovered, a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. We have season 4 of RPGs Uncovered coming up sometime between now and the beginning of January, because holidays are difficult, where we will be focusing on a Lumen-based Lumen-based game called Cyber Rats, which is basically XCOM meets Shadowrun, but you're all various kinds of giant mutated or a swarm full of rats, and it's going to be super fun and really exciting to play. It's a very different game from what I've done before, so come check it out. I'm really excited for that, and I'm really excited for more of this. So let's pass this back up above me to, I believe, JD.
You would be correct. And this time I'm not thrown off because I am not the first. So I actually had time to think. So I am JD. I've loved this game so much. I adored our session 0, and this first session has just been incredible. So a thank you to my cast and to Lion for being a wonderful GM. So usually you can find me over at Live from the Apocalypse. That is where I live most of my time. I am cheating on them having joined this game, which ironically is the next time I'll be back on screen, which will be next Monday. But next Tuesday and Wednesday and Sunday, you'll be able to find me over at Live from the Apocalypse in Class Reunion, Fetch Quest, and for Academy H the next time we record, which will be the 27th. You can also find that in podcast form. That is our Masks Actual Play podcast. It is amazing. So check out the stuff, and certainly check out the channel on other days that I'm not playing, because I know we have a great game tomorrow night with our Eldritch Pokemon game, Missing Numbers, and some other fun stuff coming up this week. So yes, I think that is all for now. But yeah, tonight was amazing.
And I'm Lion. I am the eccentric head of Tales from the Table Studios. I am just going to take a moment again to thank all of you, because you were amazing. All of you are so great. And I, have been looking forward to this for so long. Just not to go on for too long, but it's something I've wanted to put together for a while. And having talked to all of these fantastic people about it for some time, we did a lot to get to this point, and whew, what an amazing first session this was, if I do say so myself. Thank you again to all of the cast. Thank you to everyone in chat. Before we get going, just a couple of quick announcements and reminders. We'll be back. Well, some of us will be back tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. EST for a new episode of Dice Trays Action, a 5th edition game set in my third-party world of Rodane. So you can come check that out. As a heads up, that game is pre-recorded. We are not live for that one. So save your Tales points cash-ins. But on the upside, you can cash those in on Thursday when we're back with Rhaegar, Shadow of the Dragon, which is live and has a phenomenal cast. And you'll see me there as well, not to toot my own horn. But and we are currently hunting a dragon through an emotional and powerful story of love and friendship and disappointment. It's great. Come check it out. We just had the best ship, in my opinion, in all of tabletops, so come see that. We also have a Discord. If you want to find all of these amazing people, they're all there. You can talk to every single one of them there. We're growing a really great small community of brilliant world builders, actual play folk, TTRPG players, designers, and just great people overall. So please feel free to check that out. The link is below. You can find it in our About section. You can also catch all of our shows on YouTube 1 week after they premiere here. You can also find old series that we had, because we had a bunch of series running over the summer. You can go check those out. You will see some of these familiar faces there as well. Absolutely phenomenal time. We have a Ko-Fi. If you'd like to support us, if you enjoyed what we did here, we have a Ko-Fi. You can support us over there. And for different tiered memberships, we have some pretty cool stuff. We have like the ability to name NPCs, to name locations. You can once a month win a completely custom built character of your desire, including artwork, which is pretty rad. We've got behind the scenes stuff. All of our shows have at least once a month. We sit down with the cast to do like a post show, which is always super interesting, and I guarantee you'll want to see those. They're so good. We also offer a bunch of cool free stuff. We have constant updates on some of the stuff we're working on that isn't actual plays, some of the stuff we're working on that is actual plays, free maps. We're going to be adding free like homemade items and monsters and stuff for a bunch of different systems in the coming months. That's still a little bit of a work in progress, but that's going to be ramping up soon. So many projects in the works right now, as Jack put it. But come check us out there. There's a bunch of free stuff too. So even if you don't want to or feel like you can right now support us financially, you can still show up there. You can find updates both on our Discord and at my personal Twitter at TheLionKnight42. There will probably be other social media in the near future because the tweet bird seems to maybe be crashing out. But we'll see. I think I've been talking long enough. I've gone over everything I need to. So be back here tomorrow. Be back here Thursday. Find us back here next week, which is so cool, and I'm so excited. Thank you to everyone. We're gonna go raid Exquisite Corpse Presents right now. They're doing a cool show, and we're gonna go send them some love, assuming that I did this right, because I don't raid a lot because I just don't know how. So we're gonna try it and find out. Oh, that's working. So we're gonna be heading over there in a minute. Thank you to everyone. We love y'all. Take care of yourselves. Drink enough water. Go out. Do stuff. And always remember to tell your tales.